Okay, you know the scene. You've just finished rinsing your rice, and you're standing there over the sink with this bowl of cloudy, kind of milky water. And your first instinct, right, is to just pour it straight down the drain. But what if you paused for just a second? What if I told you that what you're holding isn't actually waste at all? It's a seriously powerful, totally natural resource that could completely change your garden. Today, we're going to uncover the hidden science behind rice water. So, a lot of us have heard the tip, right? Pour your rice water on your plants. It's free, it's easy, seems like a total no-brainer. But here's the thing. If it's so great, why do so many of us end up with plants that look, well, sad? The truth is, using that fresh rice water the wrong way can actually be way worse than not using it at all. I mean, look at this. On the left, that's the dream, isn't it? Big, lush, vibrant plants, healthy, happy soil. But on the right, that's the reality for a lot of people. Instead of getting a boost, you end up with yellowing leaves, soil that gets all compacted and even grows mold. And suddenly you've got an open invitation for pests like ants and fungus gnats. So what is going on here? What's the hidden danger in this supposedly helpful liquid? All right, let's get into the science of it because it's actually fascinating. The main culprit, the real bad guy in that fresh rice water, is something that sounds pretty innocent: raw starch. Now, starch itself isn't evil, but when you pour it straight into your garden soil, you kick off this surprising and honestly destructive chain reaction. You're basically creating a battlefield right there under the surface. So here's the deal. To break down those really big, complex starch molecules, the microbes in your soil need a ton of energy. And what's their favorite fuel for the job? Nitrogen. So they just start sucking up all the available nitrogen from the soil to get it done. But wait, that's the exact same nitrogen your plants desperately need to grow those green, healthy leaves. It's like the microbes get to eat at the buffet first, and by the time your plant gets there, all the good stuff is gone. And believe me, nitrogen theft is just the beginning of the problems. First off, those raw starch granules, they're just way too big for your plant's roots to even absorb. Then, as that starch just sits there in the soil, it starts to ferment on its own. And that process actually generates heat. Heat that can literally cook and scorch your plant's delicate little roots. And on top of all that, this damp, starchy gunk is the perfect breeding ground for mold and a 5-star restaurant for all kinds of pests. So if fresh rice water is the problem, what's the solution? Well, it's actually this beautiful, simple, ancient process that science has totally proven works. It's called fermentation. And this is how we turn that starchy hazard into a probiotic superfood for our soil. You know, the best way to think about this is with an analogy. Pouring fresh rice water on your plants, it's like giving them a bag of raw flour, some sugar, and an egg, and expecting them to bake their own cake. All the ingredients are kind of there, but they're useless in that form. But when you ferment it, you're basically the chef. You're pre-digesting those ingredients for them. You're serving your plants a delicious, finished meal, packed of nutrients they can use right away. And hey, this isn't just a nice idea. The science backs this up with some absolutely staggering numbers. Are you ready for this? After just 3 days of fermentation, the population of beneficial bacteria, we're talking about powerhouses like Lactobacillus, explodes to over 212 million colony-forming units per milliliter. You are literally creating an army of microscopic helpers for your garden. So what does this microbial army actually do? Well, they get to work. They break down all that starch and they unlock the nutrients. As you can see on this chart, it's pretty dramatic. A 3-day ferment massively increases the levels of plant-available nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. You know, the big 3 for plant growth. We're talking about increases of up to 84%. It's incredible. Okay, enough theory. I know you've been patient. Now it's time for the fun part, the practical how-to guide. Let's get our hands dirty, figuratively, and see exactly how you can make this garden gold right in your own kitchen. We're going to start with the most basic, foundational recipe. Honestly, this could not be easier. First, just collect that cloudy water from your first rice rinse. Use any container you've got, a glass jar, a plastic bucket, whatever. Second, cover it, but cover it loosely. You don't want to seal it airtight because gases need to escape. A cloth or a loose lid is perfect. Third, just let it sit at room temperature for about 3 to 7 days. You'll know it's working when it starts to smell kind of pleasantly sour, almost like sourdough or yogurt, and you'll see it separate into these distinct layers. And finally, step 5. Carefully pour off that clear, yellowish liquid that's sitting on top. That is your finished probiotic serum. That's the gold. Now, before you go running out to your garden, listen up. This is the single most important rule of the whole process. You have to dilute this stuff. always. Think of it like a super concentrate. It is potent, and it's acidic. A good starting ratio is 1 part of your serum to 20 parts water. If you use it undiluted, you risk burning your plant's roots, and that would undo all of this amazing work. So please, dilute. All right, so once you've gotten the hang of the basic ferment, you can really start to have some fun and experiment. There are so many ways to upgrade your serum, make it more powerful, make it smell better, even tailor it for specific kinds of plants. So let's dive into 4 really easy ways to level up your fertilizer game. First up, this is a real powerhouse technique that comes from Korean natural farming, or KNF. You take your basic serum that you just made and you mix it with 10 parts fresh milk. So why milk? Well, the Lactobacillus bacteria just go crazy for lactose, which is the sugar in milk. They feast on it and it supercharges their reproduction. They multiply like crazy and just completely dominate the mixture. After about a week, you'll see this really cool separation. A thick layer of white curds will float to the top, and underneath will be this clear yellow whey. That whey is an ultra-concentrated probiotic bomb. It is so potent, in fact, that you have to dilute it at a 1:100 ratio. This is next-level stuff. Okay, let's be real for a second. Fermentation can get a little funky smelling sometimes. A super easy fix for this is to just toss in some leftover citrus peels right at the beginning of your ferment. From oranges, lemons, grapefruit, whatever you have. The essential oils in those peels act as a fantastic natural deodorizer. And there's a bonus. They also increase the acidity of the final product, which makes this particular formula an absolute favorite for acid-loving plants like blueberries, azaleas, hydrangeas, and ferns. So what if you want to speed things up a bit and add even more good stuff to your fertilizer? Well, you can kickstart the whole process with things you probably already have in your fridge. Got a yogurt container that's almost empty or about to expire? Don't throw it out. Just rinse the container out with your rice water, or hey, just plop a spoonful right into your fermenting jar. You're basically inoculating the batch with billions of active bacteria, giving it a huge head start. Or maybe you've got some leftover beer from a party. Perfect. Beer is a feast for microbes. It's full of sugars and amino acids and phosphates. It makes for a much richer final product. Just remember, because it is so rich, you'll want to dilute the beer-based fertilizer a bit more, say about 1 part to 50 parts water. So you've made this awesome big batch of fertilizer. Now what? How do you store it? Well, here are 2 pro tips. To preserve your harvested serum for like ever, just mix it 1-to-1 with brown sugar or molasses. The sugar acts as a preservative. It basically puts the microbes into a dormant, sleepy state, so you can store the bottle at room temperature for months. And for even more protection against bad smells and pests, add a spoonful of cinnamon to your ferment. Cinnamon has natural antibacterial and antifungal properties that just help keep everything clean and effective. So there you have it. By taking just a few really simple steps, we've completely transformed what we thought was a useless waste product into a powerful, life-giving resource for our gardens. I mean, this is the ultimate kind of recycling, right? Turning kitchen scraps into a thriving, beautiful ecosystem. And the benefits are they're huge. For your soil, it improves the structure, making it looser, healthier, more alive. For your plants, it's a direct shot of easily absorbed nutrients. And those beneficial microbes, they help suppress diseases by outcompeting all the bad guys in the soil. Plus, it's totally sustainable, it reduces your household waste, and you can even pour it on your compost pile to kickstart and accelerate the whole decomposition process. It's a win-win-win. And hey, don't just take my word for this. This isn't just some old gardener's tale. The science is absolutely solid. A 2022 study in the very prestigious Agronomy Journal confirmed it. What they found was that over time, using this 3-day fermented rice water produced plant growth and nutrient levels that were basically the same as using standard chemical NPK fertilizers. So yeah, this isn't just a home remedy. This is scientifically backed garden gold. So the next time you're in the kitchen and you're about to throw something away, just pause for a second. This whole process, it really encourages a whole new way of thinking, a mindset of resourcefulness, of creativity. And it leaves us with this really fascinating question to think about. What other things that we call waste are actually just hidden treasures waiting for us to unlock them?